So I'm glad we've got that under our belt now. Now I'm like, what else do we need to add?
I want to thank I want to thank Dino for his service in the military. I seen a picture of him yesterday with hair. And
thank you.
Thanks a lot, Danny.
It looked like a very well. You're welcome. Or thank you. It looked like a very important job. ICBM. Wow.
Yeah, that's what this stuff is.
Big time stuff, man.
This is my stuff from when I was on crew. So that's my missile launch badge.
Yeah.
That's my combat crew. When nobody knew we were at war, I was actually on the front line. That was my combat crew badge right there. I mean,
well,
most people don't know. It's like, well, there's no war going on. It's like, yeah, well, tell me that every 3 days I get up and drive 70 miles to go take over a launch control center from another set of guys that are out there. And I beg to differ.
Well, thank you. Thank you for serving the way you did. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
I also want to see a picture with you with hair. So I feel like you should share that at some point.
Got a friend of him on Facebook.
Okay, hold on. I think I got one of those.
All right, and I see Danielle joined, so that's great. We'll probably get to see her smiling face. Danielle, just so you know, like, Danny was saying, is our new chair going to introduce herself? And I said, I don't know what her schedule is like on Thursdays, so I'm glad to see you here.
Oh, no, yeah, I was able to switch it around, so now I could be available every Thursday. So Yay, super exciting. So hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Duffy. I am the owner of Think Tank HR. My specialty is in HR, and I'm very excited to be the new chair of the Florida Incubator. So thank you.
Thank you for taking this on. We appreciate it.
I am so excited. I'm kind of nervous for everyone else because when I get this excited, I'm very like, let's do this. Do.
I can tell that already.
Well, hopefully hooking you up with John. I think it's all laid out for you. So I think you guys.
Yep, I speak with John tomorrow morning at 10:30. So I'm really excited about that. And I see Craig is on here. Danny Craig, I'll have to connect with you as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're hoping to put together a Zoom meeting, I think, with the city and share faces. So we'll make that happen.
Well, and the other thing, Danielle, the reason that I wanted to connect you and Danny and the city as well is because the city hired us to help the business owners to get, their funding and stuff like that. And that contract is finishing up. And they, they're always just turning cartwheels over all the support that we've given them and everything else. And I want to continue to do that. And so the Florida Business Incubator was the mechanism to allow the city to still continue to send people that needed help, and get access if they wanted access to Jennifer and I, and at the same time, begin to elevate the organization within the community, which is obviously something we want to make sure happens as well, because it's a big resource, and people need, business owners need to know that it's available to them.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah. I want to say, Dino, that was one of the most helpful things I've done so far, just sitting with the two of you earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Yep. And so now I feel like somebody's got my back at least to ask questions, because that's the other thing I think as a small business owner is these questions pop up and it's like, where do I get those answers? Yeah.
I had a question for Danny. Danny, do you have a list of new businesses that are joining the city every month?
That's a NCAIS code thing, and our city is actually not set up for that. I go to a permitting and actually ask that question myself, and sometimes they say, "Oh, somebody come in yesterday. Here's who they are." As far as a list, I don't have that list. I've tried to get it before and tried to get them to do whatever it needs to be done, and I guess it's very expensive.
I can answer that question. As a spy in the city of Dunedin, I'm in Largo.
Hi.
This is being recorded, by the way.
I know. The city of Dunedin is very, very open and transparent. And on their website, because I will send business cards to new businesses in Dunedin, when they apply for the BTR, it is online and you can get it. Now, Largo makes you pay for it. The city of Clearwater, then I don't know what. I mean, like the right hand does not know what the left hand's doing. But yes, cast your net, not just in Dunedin, but all around. Now, in Pinellas County, you're not required to get it. If you have your business in the county, you're not required to get a BTR, which is a business tax receipt. But Dunedin, my gosh, that is the best. It's like you can go in there and they update it every month. I will send you the link on where to find that if you want. And
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I mean,
Me.
yeah, you can just do this right from the convenience of your own behind your desk. They're very easy.
Send it to Danny.
Thank you, Dunedin.
Yeah, I was going to say, send it to
Yeah, send it
Send it to
me.
Danny.
Hopefully I don't know.
worse than we do.
yeah. I was just thinking if we have new people that are coming or businesses starting here in Dunedin, we could at least reach out to them and invite them to the incubator, and hopefully you'll gain them as a member here, but also maybe the member of the chamber and DDMA, whoever.
Yeah.
Great idea, Russ. That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
we are going to be partnering more with the chamber and the DDMA as far as the boards to collaborate better and
Yep.
actually utilize each organization in the right manner for business support.
Very cool.
Super excited. So it's 9:15. And this particular meeting, we were kind of toying with that whole, are you stuck? And have Dino help you get unstuck, because Dino has definitely been an expert in that area. I'm not sure how many of you guys have actually heard his webinar. If you have, raise your hand.
I think Russ was there.
Okay, so everybody's had it. So Dino, we can really just make this kind of a Q&A in areas of those challenges.
Sure.
And we'll take it from that perspective.
Yeah, I did strip down the presentation from its normal form.
Awesome.
So, I mean, I can just go over so that, Carl and Danny and Maggie and Brent at least maybe have the general gist of it, and then open it up as a Q&A. I mean, the way I thought I would do it, Evelyn, is...
Oh, you can talk. I'm on mute now. My part's over.
Okay.
Oh, no, Danny, Danielle, you're not on mute yet.
My thought was that I'd at least introduce the three main reasons, at least, and then if anybody is experiencing that or knows somebody that might be, helped by understanding how to address those things, then I would address each of those items, not in any particular order, because you don't have to fix them in any particular order or anything like that. It's just, those are typically the reasons why people hit a brick wall and can't seem to get over it. So.
Wonderful. I think you've got access to share screen share. So
Yeah, let me do that.
I have to
Danielle,
apologize. We're both working from home today. Our roof leaked and our fence came down.
oh no.
So we're both like, he has mediation here in a minute. I have my stuff. So we're trying to figure out this
You're
new
being
group, 'cause-
ninjas in the office.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I'm off, I am attentively listening. I'm just multitasking.
Oh man, I didn't do that, did I?
Hopefully that wasn't a delete.
You just launched an ICBM?
Yes, I did. No, I don't have access to that stuff anymore, thank God.
Oh.
Where is it? Share screen. Everybody seeing it?
Mhm.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So how to get unstuck. So the main thing here, if I can advance the slides, of course I can't advance the slides now, right? Oh. So do any of these things sound familiar? Cash flow issues, employee drama, juggling a dozen balls all at one time and not knowing what the heck it is that you need to do next. And you're doing all this stuff and there's like no growth in the business whatsoever. You know, you're terrified and you stay up every night because you got a key employee. And if that person like walks out the door or gets hit by a bus, you know, the business comes crashing down on itself. You know, you're probably working 12 to 14 hours a day, if not more, and you're not sure what you need to do next out of any of this. Sound familiar? Yep.
I haven't lost any key employees yet.
Okay, that's good. Because we like seeing you here every week, Evelyn. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of the things, what you mentioned earlier, I think, Evelyn, is key. Most of us feel pretty alone and, you know, you feel like you have no support. So organizations like, you know, the Business Incubator are a perfect way to at least connect with other people that have those similar kind of problems and that sort of thing. So what I want to point out, though, about these items is that these issues are not problems of the business. They're symptoms. They're symptomatic issues of other things that are happening within the business. And that's really kind of the unfortunate aspect of all of this. Most business owners are focused on trying to fix these other problems, but the root cause that is making those things come to the surface have nothing to do with these items. It's other things that are causing this to happen. And that's not what most business owners do. Why? Because most business owners we're type A personalities, right? And so as a result of that, what do? Okay, I got a problem, you know, I got a leak, water's spilling out here. What do I got to do to patch that hole? I patch the hole, and then what happens? The leak comes out someplace else. And the reason is because they're not addressing those root cause problems that are causing those issues to come out. So the Business Growth Simplified process, or what we call SPARK, the Strategic Planning and Action Recovery Cycle, this process actually helps you identify what those root cause problems are so that you can address those. If you address and fix the problem that's causing those symptoms, the symptoms automatically go away. And the reason that we want people to address those things is frequently you may have, you know, half of the problems or all of the problems on that list. And if you fix one or maybe two items, all those problems all go away. Okay, so rather than feeling like you have to address a dozen things, you may only have to address one or two things and it fixes all 12 of them at the same time. And so that's really kind of where we want to focus. Now, what I've found, having been doing this for, you know, more than almost, well, I shouldn't say more than, so almost 3 decades. Next year in 2021, it'll be 30 years since I got out of the Air Force and started doing this stuff. So been doing this a while. I find that most small business owners have one of three problems, and that's what causes most of these issues. It's not going to fix all of them, but if you address most of these things, at least it starts moving you in the right direction of fixing all the problems. And those three things are, the first one is most business owners are working their business like a job. So in other words, they're a key cog in the wheel. And if you remove that cog, the wheel ceases to roll, right? And so you got to address that problem. The next item is owners don't know that business growth is a systematic process. There's a recipe to it. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you follow those steps and just address those steps, the business will grow where it is that you want it to grow to. The problem is most business owners aren't hearing what those steps are, and they're getting advice from people that are putting the steps out of sequence, which waste time, money, and everything else that the owner has. And then the last, what's going on here? Oh, I'm going up instead down. Sorry about that. And then the last item is most business owners, when you get down into all of those symptomatic problems that are happening, you just get swept up, in a rush of water, and you're just following the river wherever the hell it's carrying you. And as a result of that, you're trying to swim and you forgot what your dream was in the beginning. Why was it that you started the business? It wasn't so you could get up and go work for 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week in order to get there. Okay. And so one of the first steps in the process is really trying to understand why you started the business in the first place, so that we make sure that the objectives that you're focused on are the right objectives to move you in the direction that you wanted to move in the business in the first place, as to why you started the business. So those are the three main problems. And usually if you fix these problems, half of the other issues that I showed on that first slide go away automatically. So the rest of what I've got will talk about how to fix each one of these items. So rather than just go through that and be a talking head, is anybody have a question specific to any of these three areas? And let's start there and have a discussion around maybe that one area and go from there.
So with one of your step two systematic processes, is there a technique or tool to figure out where exactly your problem is if you can't quite recognize it?
Yeah,
what the root of your issue is?
That's a great question, Daniel. So yes, each of those steps in that cyclical process has a tool that helps you identify the issues that you have to identify at that particular step in the process. So let me share back, I guess, the screen again, and let's go back to that. If it'll let me.
I got it.
Oop, going the wrong way. Yeah, so the first step in the process really is that dream. Remember I said they lost you wouldn't believe how many business owners that I work with that have been doing this for 20 years. And when I sit down, they can't even remember why it was they started the business in the first place. Well, I wanted to make money. No, you didn't want to make money. Most business owners want independence and financial freedom. So why are you working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day in your business? We need to reconnect you with that and understand that, because some of the things that you're going to have to do are going to be very difficult. So we have a personal goal assessment that we use for that step in the process. And actually I showed there's a free 7-day challenge that we use to actually help people figure this out for themselves as step one in the process. The second step then is that whole idea of business growth is a systematic process. And so there's a tool that helps you identify at what, if you've read my book, or if you've listened to any of the things, because I think we've posted stuff that I've talked about on here, and there's articles even on the blog on the business incubator page and stuff like that. There's 5 stages of business growth. So we have a business growth assessment that helps you to figure out at what step are you at? Which stage? Because based off of the stage that you're at, each of these stages has one and only one goal. And that's what you should be focused on. All of your attention and every action that you do should be focused on trying to achieve the outcome of that stage that you're at. So yeah, we had a tool for that. And then the third one is, well then, okay, what resources do I have that I can deploy to put at this? And so our tuning your revenue engine checkup tells you, okay, you understand your, let's see, I think I got that. Yeah, this is the one Russ, you recognize this, right? This was the one that when Russ was in the webinar, he's like, man, can you send me that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So this is the tuning your revenue engine model. These are the 4 steps that every business goes through, logical steps, right? You market to generate leads. Sales takes those leads and turns those leads into deals, right? Contracts. And that contract says, this is what they've agreed to pay us money to give them, whether it be a service or a product. And when we deliver that service or product to that customer, then we can invoice that customer and they'll pay us at that step. That every business works off of those steps. How they approach each of those steps may be different, but those are the 4 steps. And so the tuning your revenue engine model that we teach people, and the tool tells you where's the choke point. Because what we find is the reason that you're not profitable is because you're moving customers through this cycle too slow, this is a cash flow cycle.
And I can tell you that right now, my struggle is in the sales part of it. I mentioned last week is that,
Right.
I get, got a lot of people seeing the marketing,
Right.
and just not a lot of conversions over to sales.
Right.
Because once I get the sale, the delivery and the collection part, not a problem at all.
Not a problem. And it's not a problem for most people.
Right. And so now my challenge is the sales, but I'm actually going backwards now because I have to kind of go back to the marketing. What am I doing into my marketing that I can switch to make that change to convert that sale? So my problem isn't sales, it's really the marketing.
Well, and that's what we find, and that's why the calculations that we teach people to do in this are very simple arithmetic. The problem is most businesses aren't collecting that information because most of the information that they're collecting is all financial. The problem with financial data is it's the last step in the process. It tells you what happened as you went through this, but if all it can do is say this was inefficient. Well, why wasn't it inefficient? So the tuning your revenue engine stuff and the metrics that we measure here are based off of activity. Okay, so they're operational metrics. How many leads did I get in, and how many of those leads are turning into sales? Or are we getting, to write a contract or give a price or whatever it may be, or a quote or whatever you call it in your sales? There's something that, when I find out somebody's interested, there's something that I do. There's a process that happens in here, okay, that results in a closed deal. And so there's 2 metrics that are very important in that marketing that we find that most people aren't really doing. So I get 100 leads in the door. How many times do I get to quote a price to somebody or give them a proposal or whatever it is that I do? Okay. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not closing everything that I have. You shouldn't be. There are actually things that we will teach you through this process that will tell you exactly what it is that's broken so that you know where to focus your attention and you're not trying to fix the wrong piece of the cycle. Because the other problem that we find frequently is that a lot of businesses that we find have operational problems, and the operational problem that they have is they think they're going to fix, they don't have enough money coming in by doing more sales. And when we analyze and look at their delivery, they already can't get the work out fast enough that's already coming in the door. Well, that's not a sales problem. Making more sales isn't going to fix that problem. The problem is here in delivery because I have a capacity issue. I got to free up capacity, I got to hire more people to do the work that I'm doing. Well, that's going to cost too much. Well, then that means we're inefficient. It's taking us too long to do the work that we've got in here, and we have to address that issue. Okay, so that's the other part. Once I figure all this stuff out, business planning is a piece of cake then at that point, because I got all of the information that I need back here. Well, you know what? I didn't need to do that. Right? the come in. There we go. So once we figure that out, then establishing a strategy as to where am I trying to get to is very simple. Well, I said I want more time with my family and everything else. Well, then I got to make more time. I got to get other people in here doing the work, so I'm not the one doing all of the work. Well, I just set some long-term strategic goals that I have to start to work on and need to look at and that sort of thing. So that whole planning process is very critical to identifying what are the objectives I need to be focused on. And then we're going to create 90-day action plans around that and monitor on a weekly basis, not on a monthly basis. We're going to look at our finances on a monthly basis, but weekly we're going to say, did I do enough? Did I take enough of the right action last week to help me achieve the outcome that I'm trying to achieve in the coming month? If not, what do I need to do this week in order to begin to move things forward in the right manner and go from there? So if you look at this second wheel, the second wheel basically has these little icons. These are the tools. So you'd ask Danielle if there's tools. These are the actual tools that we've built that are part of the process that when you go through our program, or you can buy any of these individual tools if you're interested as well, is just focusing on one area. But the course that we're trying to promote through Florida Business Incubator, that's the foundational program really of the organization, is based off, and you get all of these tools and you learn how to use this process as a part of that. That's really what it is we're trying to get enough people interested in. So after the beginning of the year, we can actually run one of those courses.
That'd be great too, because then people can work together and collaborate their ideas and talk about their differences or struggles and
Absolutely.
kind of build more of a network and a community too within your business.
Danielle, you're like,
Yeah.
you're like a walking billboard for us. That's why we structured that's actually the reason that we structured the course the way that the course is structured. So the course is structured to be done online, okay? And that group that goes through that course together is going to be part of an online peer group. And for 6 months, we're going to work together over that. So over the first 12 weeks, we'll go through the process and apply the process to the business. And then the remaining 12 to 14 weeks are going to be spent in a peer group, making sure that we're meeting on a regular basis as a group and discussing those things. So it's Spark Tank on steroids, okay? And everybody's following the same process, growing their business in a similar manner, and everyone can kind of support each other. And then you don't need me after that. You can support each other. You just have to figure out when are you going to meet and how are you going to meet on a regular basis, which is the way that we're intending to really kind of build that foundation for FBII, is based on my process, not on me. It's the process that really, the reason that I'm successful is that's the process that I followed over and over. And this is the results. I've taught other people to do it. This is what they used in Pasco County when John Walsh was the executive vice president up there. They ran executive roundtables for, second stage companies that were making more than $500,000 a year and had, a half a dozen employees or more. Okay. They came together on a monthly basis, and they were all introduced to this process so that they could basically all grow their business in a similar manner and support one another. So you're on the right track for sure, Danielle.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that information.
Yeah.
That's great.
Anybody else got any questions or want to talk in more depth about those three areas?
I don't have a question, Dino, but I will say those three areas where people get stuck are not just for the entrepreneurial world, because I felt those three things in the corporate world. So for people who, think, entrepreneurship, has a lot of challenges, it definitely does, but you can get super stuck in the corporate world as well. And I know I was feeling all three of those, and I'm sure you were too.
Right.
So, it's
absolutely in the corporate world. Totally agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and it's not much okay, it's a slight mind shift of the whole business growth simplified philosophy really is to get to stage three. Stage three of the growth cycle is self-sustainability. Okay. What that really means is absentee ownership, building an asset that generates a passive income for you, as opposed to, I'm going to really, that's all a financial planner has you do. It's just, it takes 30 years to build a big enough pile of money so that it can generate at 3 to 5% return, enough money so that you can live the life that you want. You can do that with any business in 3 to 5 years if you know what the hell it is that you're doing. And that's why we tell people, if you can shift your mindset to say, I'm going to build this in the way that we want to build it, then and I had a conversation with and many of you already know Renee Hurdle. Renee and Sean were members of this or whatever. They came to one of the events. What was it? Brews and Do's. What did they call that, Evelyn?
The Brew and Do's. Yeah.
The Brew and Do's. Yeah. So we were at one of those drinking a beer, and they were sitting across from us, and they're like, well, we got money to build this business, and start it. And I'm like, okay. So when I really kind of started questioning them, they wanted the business because they wanted freedom and that sort of thing. So I asked them, I said, if you have money, why are you trying to build a startup business from scratch, from zero? If you have money, why don't you go buy something that will already return that level, learn how to do it, fix it up the little bit that you need. In 18 months, you can be free. And they're like, nobody ever told us you could do that, or I never thought about that. So they stopped and went and found something. And so the Got Lobster truck that they did, that's what they're doing with that right now. And they're 6 months ahead of their schedule of their thing. We were planning in the beginning of next year to get the second truck on the road, and they're looking at doing it now. In fact, they got to do it next week, I think, because they got 6 things and they got like 3 things in one day. There's no way they can do that with one truck. So they got to get the second truck. They've hired people for it in the whole 9 yards. So because they know where they're going and they've set their plan together and they know what the outcome is they're looking for, they can only focus on those things, so that people are throwing, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And it just, does it fit into this road and this path that I'm on? No, it doesn't mean they throw it away. I'm just going to set it aside. It goes back to that whole idea that we had a couple of weeks ago when we talked about shiny object syndrome, right? That's a shiny object. Put it to the side. I'm not saying you can't deal with it later, but let's get to where we're trying to get to now. And once that business is up and rolling and putting money in our pocket, even if we don't do anything with it from week to week, day to day, then that's what we want to do. So it takes that mental shift in order to really buy into this process. And the people that are unsuccessful coaching clients of mine are people that they say that's what they want, but their actions, they're not moving in that direction. They fight tooth and nail to make that shift that they need to, because they feel like, and typically what it comes down to, Maggie, which is really kind of sad, is they get all of their self-esteem and their self-worth from getting up and turning that wrench or doing whatever it is that they do. So they have to deal with themselves first and fix whatever that is that in themselves that's broke before they can really get to these kind of things. And so, Michael and I had those conversations all the time, and all I could see was his head go, yep. That's typically the problem that you have, not just in a business, in your life in general, getting past and moving on in your life. It's the same thing. So good point for sure.
And Dino, I always get a lot of people, even people want to take the tour. When they get on the bike tour, they're like, oh, you need to do this. You need to do a bar crawl. You need to do this. And I'm like, but my path is here. I know what I want. Right. And I'll take it under consideration, but I know I'm going to not do a bar crawl. There's too much risk in it. Right. And, a lot of people saying, I had the opportunity, people advice, say, why don't you start one in Tarpon Springs? I eventually did.
Right.
But and it's growing, and I'm allowing it to grow, not just trying to go whole hog into it.
Well, and that's a good point, Russ, because what I find a lot of people do is they start their business, they get down the road, somebody throws one of those ideas and says, yeah, that's an idea. That's a great idea. Let me do that. Well, what they don't understand is in many cases, that's almost a second business because it's in a completely different direction than you're already going. And so now what I'm doing is I'm splitting my time between two businesses. I'm splitting resources between two businesses. And then I wonder why it's like, well, I was profitable. How come am I not? Why am I going backwards now?
Right.
Because you're splitting resources between two completely different things. And that's why I say, I'm not saying completely get rid of it. You have to put it to the side and you got to readdress it when you have the resources and the people to readdress it with you.
Right. And that's exactly what I did with the Tarpon Springs tour. Because
somebody else is doing those for you,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Somebody else is doing the tour itself, but I had to wait for that resource to hit. And once I met that person and understood and we made a connection, then I was able to put them into place to work that. So I'm not expected to be up there to do the tour on a Saturday, and I can still do the tour here in Dunedin.
In Dunedin, right. So you got two tours going on.
And now
what the cost is that it is to run the tour up there. You got to make sure you got enough people to do that. And if you do, then you're making money twice, okay, instead of once. And that it's that simple. The arithmetic is that simple. It's just the devil's in the detail, Russ. So, I mean, what you did was when people throw an idea at you, you can't just go after it. You got to do a little bit of research for it. And you got to say, is it worth the time and energy to do the research to figure out whether or not that puts me in the right direction, moving in the right direction to do that or not? Or, do I just put it on hold until later?
Right. I've always got even my own ideas. I've got all kinds of crazy ideas, but I have to edit them down to what I know is going to work.
Right.
I think that's my biggest challenge. Technically, I guess I have two businesses if I'm selling artwork. I just haven't figured out, I haven't looked at the artwork aspect yet as a business. So now I have to sort through all of that because I think there's important pieces that I need to pay attention to. Sales is not something that I ever wanted to be in. Taxes, all that business, I don't even know where to start. So this year with COVID, nothing's really happened, so I don't have to worry about it. But I think once we start emerging from all of this, whenever that is, I'm probably going to have to rethink, because the only product I really have is myself, and I'm in that industry, right? I'm offering a service, and I hate to market myself because I don't want to get inundated with business, but then I struggle, and I've talked about this before, I struggle with hiring other people because they may not carry the same integrity and love of the business that I have, and they're representing me and my business. So it's such a struggle for me to figure out how to move to the next piece, because eventually, I'm going to get tired of doing all of this.
Well, and Evelyn, you pose a great question. I mean, and this is kind of for Danielle, I guess, really. What I typically, I'm not the expert in the HR and personnel area, Danielle is, but I often see when people try to move forward with it, the general thing that they have is most small business owners have never hired before. They don't know how to do that. And so they struggle because they just look like, well, I just need somebody to do the work. Well, no, you need somebody that has the same passion that you do, and that's a different, I can teach somebody to turn a wrench. This is my mantra. This is what I tell clients all the time. I can teach anybody to turn a wrench, but I can't teach them what mama didn't teach them. Okay. So when I'm hiring somebody, I should be asking those questions to try and figure out who they are at their core, because I can teach them to do whatever the heck it is that I needed them to do. I mean, unless I'm something, way off the charts that somebody's got to have skills for, but I should look for that stuff second.
Yes. Yeah, that is absolutely. When you vet a applicant, you're always wanting to really more vet them based off of one, if they can just talk comfortably about what their resume says, then you know they can do their job. So the other part of it is vetting them to see what personal dynamic they have, what cultural fit to your company, what type of brand are you trying to push out into the community? Do you have long-term goals for this person, or is it a short fix? What is the main reason why you are hiring this person? And then of course, as you do bring on staff, the onboarding portion of it is the most important, because the first impression on their first day is your lasting one. That's what helps keep your retention instead of turnover, because even as a small business, turnover is going to cost you anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 just from time.
Well, what are you talking about, Danielle? I mean,
yeah.
how many people onboard people? I mean,
yeah, me.
yeah, I know.
But when you bring
I know,
a person
I get it.
in, like it's just an all in how you know, obviously skill set is important, but you know, that's the most important thing. That it's been a long time since I've heard someone say that. If they have the skill set, you can clearly tell by the resume and the way they talk. So don't worry about skill. Figure out if they're going to be a good partner with you, because even though you're the boss, you're working together.
Right.
And I used Danielle when I hired in Jake for Tarpon Springs. She helped me actually do it in the proper manner so that we had a good fit. And I knew Jake was a good guy to do it after meeting with him several times, and then just kind of putting in the wheels in motion of adding him in as a 1099. Danielle actually helped me get that rolling.
So that too. Great.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. So
no, and that's
and this way you're protected as a business owner, but you're also building a relationship for long-term goals that you do have for your self-sustainability.
Right. I find frequently when people, because of the way that they hire, you know, somebody's a hot mess, and it's like, you can see it coming from day one, you know, I mean, everybody's excited, you know, at the beginning, you know, but when the honeymoon is over, it's like, it's over, you know.
You know, I'm really curious about Maggie and Brent, you know, because you're in the beginning phases of putting things together. And I go on my little walks through Dunedin, and you guys pop in my head all the time. I'm like, I wonder how they're going to get distribution going. Like, I wonder how they're, because to me, that's terrifying, to have to figure out how to put myself in multiple places at once, when eventually I have to trust other people to do that for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely something we're concerned about. And I think at the beginning, that's why we're doing it all in-house, make sure the system that we're setting up works. And then
but we're starting small, and I think that's really important, right? We're trying to do these little wins. I don't know if any of you have read The Lean Startup. It's a great business book, but the whole model is to shorten basically everything that you're doing. So they have a cycle kind of similar to Dino's, and I think it's build, launch, and learn. And your whole goal is to make that as small in terms of time frame as possible, because the more that you can get something out there and then learn from it, you can refine over and over. So I think we're really trying to just like, okay, let's do a quick win. Let's find one business partner, learn from that, and then expand. Let's find one product we can deliver and then expand. And I think that's kind of helped us. Yeah. I think Brent's maybe more concerned about expanding the business to other employees than I am.
Yeah. Eventually I want to get out of the driving side of it by like February at the latest, once we have it up and running. But then I've started to think through how I would transition that off, and maybe that's, you know, find, like Danielle saying, find the right fit for our company, but then also do a training program where like I go with them and show them what I've done that's proven success. So I'm starting to think through that before we've even started.
Yeah, but I have a very different perspective. I think, especially when you think about, and Danielle, it'd be good to get your thoughts here. I really find hiring to be an incredibly powerful asset to your business. And especially when you think about diversity and inclusion, right? And how can you get a mind that doesn't think like you in your business is really important for me. So sure, they have to be super competent in what they do, but I don't want to hire somebody who thinks like myself or like Brent, right? Like I want somebody who's going to challenge us, and it's scary. And I think that's probably what Brent's going through. It's like, oh, I know I can do it good. Can I trust somebody else? But like our brains are only limited to our brain power, right?
Yep. And with anything in life, you can't make expectations for other people. Yeah. So when it comes to hiring, yeah, it's always going to be nerve-wracking because you never know. I mean, you can't control another person, but you're not going to have a successful hire though until you get out of that mentality, because you have to be fully open. If you bring someone in on staff with that mentality, they're going to feel the pressure. They're going to feel like they are set up to fail instead of being set up to, yeah. And you want more minds that think differently because it brings out creative sides. It brings out things that you may not be seeing that are struggles because they have different interactions with people. You have different interactions. So it's kind of a full cycle, but yeah, hiring the right person. I mean, it's always scary, but you always want to also cross train. So I had a perfect example. I worked for American Surgical Mask. They are a new mask company in Tampa. All of their executive heads, owners, everyone that can sign on any kind of documentation, were all in a board meeting together. They all got COVID. The business had to fully shut down for 2 weeks because they did not cross train like I told them to. So they had no one there to actually operate the business because all of your C-level managers were part of a board meeting and then came down sick. So that's why even when you have employees, obviously some trades and secrets you want to keep to yourself, but be transparent with your employees. Let them know how the business is going. Let them put input because then they also invested into your business.
There's a system that I kind of create with this. You struck on something and asked the question, I think, Maggie, that's the right question. Most people, the problem that they have is how is somebody going to be able to, how do I know somebody's going to be able to do this as well as I do it? Okay. There's 3 pieces to to delegating any work to anyone, whether it's internal or external, it doesn't matter. So the process that we teach is the same, whether it's an employee or a 1099 contractor. So the first thing that you need is you need a scope of work, right? So here's the work we need to have done, okay? And then I'm going to communicate that to somebody else, that this is what the problem breaks down at this point, because what happens then is that's all they've done. So when I get it back, I evaluate it. And it's like, this isn't what I want. Well, there was a quality standard that was never communicated because it's not part of the scope of work. Okay. So you have to have a quality standard that says, this is how I'm going to evaluate the work that I've assigned to you to make sure that it met the mark to where it is that we've got. So you got to get in your own head and say, how am I evaluating to say this is of the standard that is local union? Okay. If you've done that, then you can evaluate somebody. So those 2 pieces are critical. And then in the employee realm, then that needs to be part of your training plan, that I'm training people, not only the work, but how I evaluate the work, and then make sure that I put things in place in order to do it. I had a service company business, and it's like, well, our techs are in the work in the field or whatever. And I'm like, well, this is a simple accountability. It was accountability issue that they were struggling with. I said, when the work is done, do you have the customer check the work and sign off on the work order that they were satisfied with the work that the technician did? It's like, well, no, we don't do that. It's like, well, there's your answer right there. You don't have to be in the field. The customer will do it for you. You just have to make sure that you give them a checklist or a guideline, something to follow to make sure that they give the feedback to that employee or to that, external resource or contractor, that they gave you what it was that you were expecting, and now they can be paid as a result of that. So.
Yep. SOPs for, when you do hire people, have an SOP. So when you train them, they have something they can always go back to so they feel comfortable. I'm a big person on a 30, 90, 60-day review. At 30 days, sit down, not judgment of performance, but talk to them, get to know how they're feeling. Are they having struggles? Do they need more training? Do they need coaching? Where's their performance, attendance? You can start nipping at the 30, 60, and 90. So by the time they are invested as a full-time employee, you know way in advance if this was a good fit or not. You'll really know by that 30-day mark. And I'll be happy to share templates of forms you guys can use for that as well, to kind of show you where people's progress is. And then that way, when they are fully with you, you can continue to change the responsibilities. You continue that communication, because that is part of your onboarding process.
Right. Right.
And yeah, I think it'd be great to do a presentation, you know,
Absolutely.
whether you're self-employed or not. I mean, because ultimately, you know, if I create that scope of work ahead of time, based on the things that I'm learning.
Even as an owner, you need it.
Yes, exactly. And I you know, I spent, you know, almost 4 years as a program director. So I did a lot of hiring, and not once was I regretting that. I had to fire 2 people, but one of them was a shared employee that I hadn't hired, and the other one was somebody whose resume looked great, whose interview went great, but whose personality emerged quite differently in the classroom than it did within the field. But those, you know, those are the things that you know you're going to expect. And because I had an expectation of what that room is supposed to look like, and I can do those little 30, 60, 90 and try to, you know, hey, these are the challenges, this is what I'm hearing, you know, how can I help support you to work on these things so that you have more success in the classroom. If I hadn't had that in place, you know, it would have been really hard to let that person go. So, but then when I think about my own business, like all of that just went right by.
Well, and to tie all of this kind of back to the culture piece of it or whatever, I mean, as business owners, and I have clients that are like my star clients, that this is the way that we set everything up. These are the ones that they weren't able to pay their employees more than $11 or $12 an hour. And now they're paying them $20 an hour, and they're making more money than they've ever made before. Okay. And the way that they did that, I mean, this goes right along to what Danielle was just talking about. They bonus their employees based off of them hitting those quality standards and those standards of service that they've put in, because that's what they measure. And they measure that every month.
Yep.
So, and the way they measure it is how many callbacks do they get? How many complaints do they get? How many, you know, those kind of things. They're measuring that stuff because it's critical, obviously, to their messaging to the marketplace, because if you know as well as I do, there are plenty of customers out there that want that service, and they're willing to pay a little bit more, even if it comes to that. Okay. But if you're not communicating that that's what they can expect to get by doing business with you, then how will they know that? Well, that means you got to measure it as a part of the process. And so that 30, 60, 90-day evaluation doesn't have to stop after you've hired somebody and you've signed off that they're ready to put out into the field and to deal with people, and they don't need supervision on a regular basis like that. Well, how are you evaluating them then? I mean, there needs to be metrics in place that you're measuring whatever those things are that are critical to the culture of your business and delivering your brand promise. I mean, that's really what it is that you're doing. Whatever that brand promise is that you're promoting to the marketplace, you know, you got to have some way to be able to make sure that you're measuring that that's happening or not, or that's why you're losing customers, or customers aren't coming to you. So.
Great. Well, I have a hard stop. It was very nice to see everyone today.
You too, Daniel. Thanks.
And I will see everyone next Thursday. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, take care, Danielle. Have a good day.
Bye.
Yep.
Anybody want to talk about those other issues? That was good. Thank you for bringing that up, man. I mean, this is the way Spark Tank's supposed to work, right?
Right. Supposed to be just bouncing.
I got a problem, or I don't know how to do that. And, you know, we kind of circle together and share how it is that we've maybe dealt with those things ourselves, and share those stories with everybody else.
Are there any other questions anybody might have? Now we have the expert, we can just, Challenge him.
Don, you're muted. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, we're still not hearing you even though you're unmuted. What the heck
Your
is going
audio's
on there?
not
Hold
working
on.
somehow.
Let's see. I'm not,
The
well,
microphone on?
no. Yeah, you're unmuted, but we're not hearing you at all. Make sure everything's plugged in tight.
I think he's typing us a message.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yep. Go ahead and,
Chat away,
yeah.
Don.
I wonder what happened there.
How about
I'm gonna have
that?
to get going too. I got another thing to get to.
Good
But
to
it's
see you,
good seeing
Russ.
everybody.
Yeah, you
And,
too, Russ.
and I'll see y'all next week.
Okay, bye.
Wonderful.
Uh-oh, we're losing everybody.
Question is, how do I find out the new link for entrance?
Ah.
Oh, well, it's in the newsletter. It's on our calendar on our website, and it's also on our Facebook events. So if you're liking our page and you can have access to our events, you'll see that link in there. I had it set so that you had to register first. I think after you register, the next time you go in with your Zoom account, it should be easy. I don't think you have to do anything special. But I'm still trying to tweak all the settings here. That was something that I was chatting about with the group at the very beginning, was just the challenge of getting all the system right so that's not hard, but it's not vulnerable. So calendar did not work with Google. That's why I was late, but he hears me. Okay, good. Do you do Facebook, Don? Yes. Okay. Do you need us to send, do I have your email address? Because I can send you a link to the events there. I think that's who got in that way that did this morning,
I did.
Dino?
I think I came in that way.
Okay.
So Evelyn,
Okay.
I don't know how he did this, but I guess Michael sent a calendar invite for all of the series with the Zoom. So technically, like, it shows on my calendar for the next many months with the old Zoom. So I don't know if you can like delete that, or we need to tell people to delete that, and then maybe you could send out a new calendar invite from the new Zoom.
So that, is it coming from our calendar, from our actual calendar, or did he?
So I haven't received anything for the new link that like goes into the calendar, but it says Michael Broom is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. And I got this when we first signed up, and it just like implemented on my calendar for eons, basically.
So what probably happened, Evelyn, if that was the case, Michael probably sent them an invite either from inside of Zoom, or if he's got the plugin in his Outlook, he sent it through his Outlook, which connected Zoom and that connection. But the link that it put in there, Maggie, for you guys was his account, because that's what we were using in the past.
Yeah. Okay. I need to connect Zoom to my Gmail through the incubator, because then I can actually do that.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't realize he was sending out
You know what?
invites. So
I had the email that you
but
sent
thank
me.
you. That helps try to troubleshoot some of the stuff here. And if you go to our calendar on our website, I know that you can add these to your own calendar if you wanted to. So
cool.
Okay, so the calendar link didn't work today. All right, I'll see what I can do about that one. Thanks, Dawn. Yeah. Hopefully,
This was the link that you sent me, Evelyn.
Yeah, did I send it to you via email or on the calendar?
No, it was the email that you sent me, because you sent me the graphics so that I could push them out on my channels too, but I don't know if that was just to the November 12th Zoom or if that's the one that was for, did you set up different ones for?
I did. I set one up for
Part-
Business Growth Simplified, but I might want to rethink that. We might want to just keep it
Okay,
easy on just the Spark link like we were doing before instead of
Right.
having. And so that means I have to go back through and adjust that on the calendar.
I think the way that
So-
Michael had originally done it was he made his Zoom room the event, or
Yeah.
make that a recurring event or something or another like that. And that way it's always the same. It's always
Right.
the same link. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. We're doing technical bug
No, but
fixing.
helpful.
whatever.
Are there any other questions for?
I have a question for Maggie and Brent.
Nice.
What's up?
What can we help you
Well,
with?
I saw you at the orientation meeting the other day or whatever, and based off of how you guys kind of introduced yourself there, I want to set up a time to connect with you guys at some point and talk
Sure.
more. Because
Yeah.
you guys may be a resource for some of the stuff that we're trying to do within the city, too. And
Would love to. Kind of separately, just for Evelyn, and it might be good for Danielle. I know you guys mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, but really excited if that relationship does get enhanced, because I found out we found out about this meeting from Danny individually and not through the chamber. And we've been really, connected with the chamber. So the more I think we can push the chambers to
Right.
talk about this group, the better, because to me, it kind of flows in, and I would love for the chamber to start recommending people who want to dive into the business more to come here.
Especially new members to the chamber. I think that should be an automatic we have this
Yeah.
Florida Business Incubator resource. Let's take advantage of it if you're a new business.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, I know we're a member of the chamber, so I'm not sure, what was put in place with all of that, because I've been left off the loop, but I'm hoping that, between Danielle, myself, and the other board members, we'll get situated.
yeah.
I was gonna
At
say,
one point,
does Danielle kind of hold a similar role that Amanda did with the
chamber? No,
I thought
but she
somebody
is
said
tied to
they had a
them. Yeah,
similar
she's,
kind of relationship that if that's the case, then I don't think that would be a problem. So
no, I don't think, I know originally, before all the changeover and, with Elaine and the
Right.
incubator, then we had a reciprocal relationship with the chamber. We didn't actually have to pay for our membership because we were supposed to be, working together.
Right.
But when she resigned, none of that information came to me. It came to me after because I have a friendship with her. It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have to do that. And I'm like, well, we're members now. So, I don't think that's a bad relationship to have. I think it's a great one. So, and I've been meaning to get to more of the events. I was doing them before COVID, and I very much enjoyed schmoozing and getting to know different business people. I think it's a great way to connect. So it seems to me like a natural, relationship.
I'm a member there, Evelyn, and part of what it is, so I went to the orientation the other day and they were talking about all of these other things that they're doing and all this other kind of stuff. So like one of the things that I asked privately in the meeting was, if they would like to offer my book as a membership, to any member that wants a copy of my book. I mean, they don't cost me hardly anything to get them, so I'm happy to give them out, so I'm thinking I'm going to try, and Pam has already said, anytime you and Jennifer want to come in and use the boardroom, just let me know. I'll promote it and, come on in and do it. So I don't have a problem with doing that. And if we can do it and coordinate it as an FBII event, then that's a good way, I think, of promoting the fact, and I think this goes to what you were talking about, Maggie. I agree. I never thought that there was enough back and forth that was going on, and I don't know why it wasn't. So
I don't know why it wasn't either, but you know,
I don't
I've
think
just
we
been the
know.
IT girl trying to keep the
Yeah.
bus moving. So
Well, I already know Danielle's tied in both with, with both of those organizations now. And the fact that she holds a board position with this one now, I think is just going to, kind of pull that in tighter to what it was. I mean, what FBII does is not done by DPMA or by the chamber. So
right.
you're a resource to those other organizations. You just have to, I think this organization has to say, this is how we can reciprocate to you so that they see the value that comes as a result of what it is that, we're getting for people bringing us here.
And I think, the chamber should be super excited about it. And Brent's on the membership committee of the chamber now. We just get involved in way too many things. But
I do the same thing. That's why I get in trouble. So,
but right, it's a good. I think we went to the chamber knowing it would be networking, but hoping for more business resources, and they don't really have anything except to point you here. So it works out great.
Consulting, but this is what I think should be a natural transition to say, go to the Florida incubators.
Yeah, so we'll try and push it too. Right. But good. Yeah. Also, Don typed something about should he go to the Facebook page to get links? I think yes, you can, Don. That will definitely work.
Zoom, yeah.
Yes, and then he asked about automated drip campaigns. I didn't know they were called drip campaigns, so that's
learning.
I'm learning, but
I know there's a lot of language out there.
There's a lot of language. Yeah, I actually have been playing with this, Don, just so you know. And you, Dino and Carl and Evelyn, I don't know if you guys have any, maybe Evelyn, you might do this partially in your work, but I've been doing a ton of research about email marketing and campaigns, and so have been playing around with different service providers on email flows. And I found a really good one that I've enjoyed quite a lot that helps you set up automated campaigns based off of the workflow and customer journey. So happy to share all that. I was thinking even just doing a cheat sheet and giving it away as a freebie to get more email subscribers. So
you should do a presentation for us.
Yeah.
On the website, I added a form. It's at the very bottom of the page. You'll see a little menu down there, and it says presentation. Presentation something or another. I can't remember. I'll have to look. But you'll see the word presentation, and it takes you to a page where you can actually upload documents, upload your blurb, upload your title, submit pictures up to 3 files. And that allows us to then coordinate and put things on the calendar. Right now it says, pick your calendar day. So, pick a Thursday, somewhere around there that works for you. Right now, I don't think we have a lot scheduled. I think we're working on just doing at least 2 presentations a month. And then, 2 of the round table, chat it up, share what your challenges are, clean your plate. So
cool.
That would be good.
I'm happy to share, Maggie and Brent, if you guys are still looking at that stuff or whatever, I'm happy to share because I've been through all of that stuff. Yeah. So I used Active Campaign for a while and it just became too costly. Yeah. And since they made some of the changes to MailChimp, I've been able to transfer the stuff over to MailChimp and make it do the same thing. So it's just, it doesn't work necessarily the same way. And some of the sexy tools that some of the other stuff has on there aren't necessarily there, but for the price. And what I really didn't like on the Active Campaign side was that their tools for creating the content were way, way behind what was on. I still could create better looking material that was being sent out there using my MailChimp. So
nice. Yeah, we were on MailChimp, but I just switched over. I'm testing out something called Flowdesk, which is much more on the content side, but it's really good.
You guys started getting my stuff, right? I added you to my list.
Yep.
That's an automatic, what you guys are getting right now, other than the monthly newsletters, that's an automated that's an automated flow that's coming out of MailChimp, directly out of MailChimp.
And that's the way to do it. I mean, you can like make money without having to wake up at a certain
Takes
time,
everybody
and
through the same journey.
and
It's smart.
it's good. Cool. Well, we have to keep going. Also,
Yes, we all do.
soft launch on Monday. So if you guys need products delivered to your house from local stores, check us out. You can get your first delivery free. But we'll probably spam you guys next week too. Anyway, but super excited, and thank you guys because you keep us also like in line, and I feel like held accountable. So we have to do these things. So thank you all.
We
How
love
far out
seeing
are
you
you guys-
here. We're so
How
glad
far
you're
out are you
here.
guys delivering?
How are we delivering?
How
So
far out?
Oh, just Dunedin. So
Just
in
Dunedin?
Dunedin proper. Yeah.
Okay.
if you're just outside of Dunedin, Dino, we might make an exception for you though.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
way
across
up in
the street.
Tarpon. I'm way up in Tarpon. That's
Okay.
why.
No. So not
That's
yet.
probably a
Maybe
little farther
phase
anyway.
2.
No, I love the idea for sure. Like I said, I don't live in the city, so yeah.
For sure. Cool. Good. Well, you guys have a great day. Stay
Good
safe.
day.
Ciao.
Bye guys.
Thank you.